Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into a stack of sources to uncover the most fascinating nuggets of knowledge.
It's great to be diving in.
You know, in filmmaking, there's this incredible magic that can happen, sometimes completely unscripted.
Absolutely. Even the most meticulously planned films, the ones with every shot storyboarded.
Right. They can suddenly yield these iconic moments born from pure, unadulterated spontaneity.
Exactly. And that's what we're getting into today.
Our deep dive today is all about exactly that. Improvisation in cinema. We're talking about those moments, sometimes really breathtaking, where actors just step away from the written script.
Yeah, they're ad-libbing dialogue, maybe a gesture, or even, a whole emotional beat right there on the spot.
It's a true testament to an actor's craft, I think, and maybe sometimes just a dash of pure serendipity.
Definitely both. And what's really compelling about these unscripted bits is how profoundly they can reshape a film.
Mm-hmm. They're not just filler, right? They can take an ordinary scene and turn it into a lasting classic.
They really can. Injecting, like, raw authenticity, or maybe some unexpected humor, or even a profound emotional weight that just wasn't planned.
It's like finding a hidden gem that wasn't on the map.
Precisely. So our mission today is to unpack how these off-the-cuff sparks, well, they didn't just delight audiences.
Well, they actually define characters sometimes.
Exactly, and became some of the most enduring images and lines in film history.
Get ready for some serious aha moments, because you might just discover that some of your absolute favorite movie quotes were never, ever penned by a screenwriter.
It's pretty wild when you find out.
Okay, let's begin by looking back at some timeless classics where improvisation became legendary. It's remarkable how often the most memorable lines weren't actually on the page.
Yeah, let's do it. Where should we start? Maybe way back?
Let's go all the way back to 1942, to Casablanca. We almost have to start with Humphrey Bogart's immortal line, "Here's looking at you, kid."
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
It's fascinating because, well, our sources show that line wasn't scripted at all for that climactic scene.
Really? Not for the farewell.
No. Bogart had apparently used it earlier, maybe between takes or in a different context with Ingrid Bergman. And then right there, in that pivotal farewell, he just spontaneously wove it in.
Wow. So that wasn't a planned emotional beat from the scriptwriters.
Not at all. And the impact of that choice. It added such a tender, almost whispered intimacy to that moment.
You can feel it. It perfectly encapsulates Rick's complex affection for Ilsa.
It really does. It became arguably the film's most famous quote. Pure, unplanned magic, you know? A moment born from Bogart just knowing his character.
Incredible. Okay, so from the quiet intimacy of Bogart's ad-lib, let's maybe shift gears. How about some raw realism?
Good idea. Let's jump to the gritty streets of New York, 1969's Midnight Cowboy.
Right. Dustin Hoffman's character, Ratsum Rizzo, shouting, "I'm walking here."
That moment was completely unplanned. Hoffman's frustration. Totally genuine.
Because he actually almost got hit by that taxi.
He really did.
Ugh.
Our sources confirm it. It wasn't a stunt vehicle, just a real NYC cab jumping the light or something. And the director, John Schlesinger, just saw the raw honesty of Hoffman's reaction.
And kept it in. Smart move.
Absolutely. It injected this burst of realism and also unexpected humor into the scene. It just became instantly synonymous with the grit and chaos of city life.
It's a perfect example of, like, life bleeding into art in real time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of memorable lines, 1972, The Godfather.
Oh, a film already packed with unforgettable lines, but there's one improvised edition that stands out.
You mean Peter Clemenza?
Yeah.
Richard S. Castellano adding, "Take the cannoli" to the scripted line, "Leave the gun."
Yes. Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
That was Castellano's own brilliant spur-of-the-moment addition. Apparently, it was inspired by a suggestion from his real-life wife, who also played his wife on screen. She'd reminded him not to forget the cannoli earlier.
Huh. That's amazing, and coming right after that violent hit.
Right. It provides this jarring kind of dark humor and a surprising touch of almost like domesticity or humanity. It makes the scene unforgettable.
That juxtaposition, yeah, it grounds the brutality with something almost mundane. Incredibly effective.
Totally. Okay. Sticking with unexpected twists, maybe something a bit lighter but still brilliant.
Let's talk Raiders of the Lost Ark. 1981.
Ah, the swordsman scene.
Exactly. Indiana Jones is confronted by this incredibly skilled swordsman, doing all the fancy flourishes, clearly setting up for a big fight scene.
And Indy just looks tired, pulls out his gun, and shoots him.
Such a great moment, and the story behind it is fantastic.
Yeah, this is a classic case of necessity meeting genius.
Huh?
Harrison Ford apparently had terrible food poisoning that day. He was really, really unwell.
So the planned elaborate fight sequence
Just wasn't going to happen. He couldn't physically do it. So Ford, feeling miserable, apparently just suggested, why don't I just shoot the guy?
and Spielberg went for it.
He did. Spielberg, with his quick thinking, instantly saw the darkly comedic potential, plus the practical necessity. So yeah, he agreed.
It's incredible. A moment born from real-world discomfort turns into this brilliant, unexpected, darkly funny highlight.
It completely subverted expectations, delighted audiences, and added this element of surprise. Quick thinking all around.
Okay, staying with Harrison Ford for a second. The Empire Strikes Back, 1980.
Another iconic one.
Princess Leia finally puts it all out there, says, I love you, and Han Solo's reply isn't some grand declaration back.
Nope, just I know.
That single line, I know, was that scripted.
Not according to our sources. It was an improvised line from Ford.
Wow. And it just perfectly cemented Han Solo's character, didn't it? That roguish, confident, maybe slightly awkward, but deeply caring persona.
Absolutely. It's become one of the most iconic, let's say, romantic-ish moments in cinema history, all because it was so uniquely Han. Says so much by saying so little.
Okay, now maybe let's pivot to something darker again. Taxi Driver, 1976.
Robert De Niro. The Mirror.
You talking to me? One of the most famous improvised lines ever.
And Martin Scorsese, the director, confirmed it. De Niro was just riffing. He was practicing with the gun in the mirror. The script just said something like, Travis talks to himself in the mirror.
And he just came up with that.
Yeah, apparently the scene was running behind schedule, but De Niro just kept going, really digging deep into Travis Bickle's psyche. And Scorsese, instead of cutting him off,
Recognized the genius of it.
exactly, he saw what was happening and kept the cameras rolling. It became this iconic, psychologically charged line, adds incredible depth to Bickle's loneliness, his obsession.
Turns a rehearsal bit into a defining character moment. Really gets to the heart of his isolation.
Sure. And speaking of chilling character moments,
Yep.
Jack Nicholson.
The Shining, 1980. Smashing through the bathroom door with an axe.
And he screams.
Here's Johnny.
That line was completely unscripted. Nicholson just pulled it out of thin air, referencing the old Tonight Show intro.
And Kubrick, who was known for meticulous planning.
Hadn't anticipated it at all. But it just made the scene infinitely more terrifying. It cemented Nicholson's unhinged performance in cinema history.
It's such a pop culture staple now precisely because it's so perfectly unsettling and unexpected.
Absolutely. Now, if we're talking about moments that deepen dramatic impact, we have to discuss one of the most haunting improvised monologues ever.
Let me guess. Blade Runner.
You got it. 1982, Rutger Hauer's Tears and Rain speech.
Ah, yes. A true masterpiece of impromptu brilliance. Tell us about that.
Well, Hauer famously took the original script, which apparently had a much longer, more conventional death speech for his character, Roy Batty.
Okay.
But on the day of filming, Hauer adjusted. He distilled it down, kept only maybe 2 lines from the original script, and then, in this stroke of genius, added those incredibly poetic final sentences himself.
All those moments will be lost in time, like tears and rain, time to die. He wrote that.
He wrote that.
Right
there. It was this astonishing act of creative improvisation. It elevated a great scene into this iconic, philosophical cornerstone of sci-fi cinema.
It really cemented Batty's tragic humanity, leaves such a lasting imprint.
Absolutely haunting. Okay, moving into the 90s. Another Scorsese masterpiece, Goodfellas, 1990.
Joe Pesci, Tommy DeVito, the restaurant scene.
The incredibly tense, funny how? Like, I'm a clown, do I amuse you? Extreme.
Chilling. And that wasn't scripted either.
Nope. This is a masterclass in controlled chaos. Pesci had apparently heard a real story from his past working in restaurants about how a wise guy reacted badly to being called funny. He convinced Scorsese to let him try it out.
And the key was?
He ad-libbed the entire exchange during rehearsal and filming, and crucially, the other actors in the scene, like Ray Liotta, weren't fully clued in on what was coming.
So their reactions are genuine.
Their frightened, confused reactions are absolutely authentic. It intensified the tension, the unpredictability, making it one of the film's most memorable and chilling moments. The fear on their faces is real.
That makes it so much more powerful. Wow. Okay, a year later, 1991, another chilling performance.
The Silence of the Lambs. Anthony Hopkins is Hannibal Lecter.
And it's not even a line, really. It's that sound.
That disgusting slurping hiss he does after the line about eating a census taker's liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Right. That wasn't in the script.
Not at all. Hopkins just spontaneously added it while he was fully immersed in the character during a take.
And it deepens the creepiness of the moment instantly, Makes Lecter even more menacing, unforgettable.
It's such a small detail, but it amplifies the horror so effectively. You remember not just the line, but that bizarre, almost reptilian sound.
Gives me chills just thinking about it. Okay, one more classic before we hit the 2000s. A Few Good Men, 1992.
Another Jack Nicholson gem, The Courtroom.
His fiery outburst. You can't handle the truth.
Iconic. And again, a tweak by Nicholson himself. The original scripted line was apparently something like, "You already have the truth."
Which is fine, but not the same punch.
Exactly. Nicholson changed it on the spot. That simple change amplified the defiance, the sheer intensity of his character, Colonel Jessup. It became the film's signature quote, the absolute high point of tension.
It fundamentally shifted the character's intent in that moment, made it so much more confrontational, memorable.
It really did. And what's fascinating here is that this kind of spontaneous creativity, it hasn't faded away. It remains absolutely vital in modern filmmaking, too.
Yeah, directors still seem to encourage actors to find those natural reactions, those unexpected moments.
Definitely. Take Anchorman from 2004. So much of that film's humor.
Oh, yeah. Brick Tamland. I love Lamp.
Right. That line and loads of others were improvised. Will Ferrell and Steve Carell especially were given a lot of license to just riff.
And the I love Lamp line specifically.
Carell apparently literally ran out of scripted dialogue in that scene. The director, Adam McKay, just told him to say something, so he looked around the room and said, "I love Lamp."
That's fantastic. It's a perfect example of how improv can just energize a comedy. Those unscripted zingers became instant fan favorites.
It's a real testament to the talent of those actors and the trust the director had in them.
And it's not just broad comedies either, right? What about something more subtle?
Good point. Think about Lost in Translation from 2003, a much more subdued atmospheric drama.
Right, and it has its own famously improvised or at least mysterious moment.
Bill Murray whispering into Scarlett Johansson's ear at the very end of the film.
And we still don't know what he said.
Exactly. The exact words were improvised by Murray, and brilliantly, I think, they remain a secret. Sofia Coppola, the director, decided to keep the whisper inaudible.
Why do you think she did that?
So the moment's intimacy could be privately interpreted by each viewer. It creates this unique, profoundly resonant moment precisely because it's left ambiguous. It feels personal.
It's beautiful. Even kids' movies get in on it sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets back in 2002. Young Tom Felton playing Draco Malfoy.
He messed up a line.
Yeah, he flubbed his line when Harry and Ron are disguised as Crabbe and Goyle. Thinking on his feet, Felton just ad-libbed, "I didn't know you could read." Yeah. Directed at Goyle, basically.
That's perfect Malfoy.
Right. It turned what could have been a throwaway moment into a genuinely funny character beat. Brought authentic laughs on set, apparently, and they kept it in the final cut.
It just shows that even in these huge, tightly structured franchises, spontaneity can sneak in and make a moment better.
Definitely. Then there's The Wolf of Wall Street, 2013, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, the chest-thumping humming thing.
That bizarre, rhythmic, chest-beating and humming ritual he does in his first scene with Leonardo DiCaprio.
That wasn't scripted, no.
Not at all. McConaughey apparently does that sometimes as his own personal pre-take ritual to get focused or into character.
And DiCaprio saw it.
Yeah, DiCaprio noticed him doing it before a take, thought it was perfect and weirdly captivating, and encouraged him to actually put it in the scene.
And it worked brilliantly. It perfectly suited McConaughey's eccentric character, Mark Hanna. It's such a uniquely memorable movie image now. Adds to the whole surreal vibe of that world.
Totally. Johnny Depp, too, famously improvised in Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead Man's Chest in 2006.
Let me guess. The Jar of Dirt.
I've got a jar of dirt. And the absurd little dance he does while parading it around.
That dance was improvised.
Depp just started doing it. And director Gore Verbinski loved it, kept the cameras rolling, and even captured the genuine reactions, the amusement of the other actors like Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley.
Their authentic reactions probably helped sell it.
Exactly. It adds that unique personality even to the biggest blockbusters. Makes Captain Jack Sparrow even more unpredictable and, well, lovable in his weirdness.
Okay, looking at really recent stuff, even upcoming films. Yeah. Wicked, the 2024 movie adaptation.
Right, there's already talk about an improvised line from Ariana Grande as Glinda.
What's the line?
When Glinda's invited aboard the wizard's train, she apparently quips something like, "This is your moment, I couldn't possibly go. Oh, I'm coming." That last part, "I'm coming," was the ad-lib.
And they kept it.
Director John M. Chu and the writers apparently loved the playful spontaneity of it. It even ended up in one of the trailers.
Interesting. It suggests that even in a huge musical where you'd think everything is planned to the note, there's still room for that off-the-cuff character spark.
Definitely. And another 2024 film, Dune, Part 2. Austin Butler as Fade Rotha.
Oh, I heard about this. The kiss.
Yeah, he improvised an on-screen kiss with Stellan Skarsgård's character, his uncle, Baron Harkonnen.
Wow. That's unsettling.
It is unnerving, for sure. But apparently director Denis Villeneuve felt this unscripted moment really enriched their twisted, disturbing relationship and kept it in the final cut.
Adds another layer of discomfort and complexity to their dynamic, pushing the boundaries of the character's villainy.
Exactly. And we can't really talk modern improvisation without mentioning the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
He is widely noted, sources like Screen Rant point this out often, for improvising many of his sharp, witty quips across the Iron Man and Avengers films.
Like the I am Iron Man at the end of the first movie. That was famously improvised, right? Against the script.
That's the big one, yeah. But lots of smaller lines, too. It became a hallmark of the character.
And that kind of freedom, that spontaneity.
It injected tremendous vitality and authenticity into Tony Stark, made him feel incredibly real and dynamic, which is crucial for a character you follow across so many films. He feels like a living, breathing person, not just someone reading lines.
So, okay, this brings us to the really interesting part. We've seen all these examples, classic and modern. What does this all mean for filmmaking as an art form and, for us watching?
Yeah, if we try and connect this to the bigger picture, improvisation across all these different eras, it seems to profoundly impact movies in several key ways.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just being a cool anecdote about filming.
Okay, like what you mentioned authenticity earlier. When we see De Niro as Travis Bickle or Hoffman as Ratzerizzo, it feels incredibly real. Why does an unscripted moment connect like that?
That's a great question. I think that raw authenticity taps into something almost primal for us as viewers. We're so used to seeing polished, planned performances, right? So when we sense a moment of true, unscripted humanity, like Hoffman's actual frustration or De Niro just completely lost in the character, it kind of transcends the screen. It makes us feel like we're witnessing a real event, not just watching a movie.
Like it breaks the fourth wall just a tiny bit.
In a subtle way, yeah. And that deepens our emotional investment, makes the characters feel truly alive. And then on the flip side, like we saw with the cannoli line or I Love Lamp, it generates that completely spontaneous humor that you just can't really manufacture in a writer's room. It feels earned.
And it often heightens the tension or the emotion, too, doesn't it? You mentioned De Niro's mirror scene, Nicholson's outburst, Rutger Hauer's death speech. Those moments hit harder because they feel so raw, so immediate.
Absolutely. They deepen the dramatic impact precisely because they carry the weight of the unexpected. And it's not just about one scene. Often these improvised moments end up defining the characters themselves.
Cementing their whole persona or revealing some new depth we didn't expect.
Exactly. They become the essence of who that character is to us long after the credits roll.
So the director has to make a call there, often right in the moment on set. How much does the director's trust in their actors play into these moments actually making it into the final film?
Oh, it's critical. It speaks volumes about the trust and the collaborative relationship between a director and an actor. The director isn't just like executing a pre-approved script. They're co-creating something living.
They have to recognize when something unplanned just works.
Right. When it elevates the material beyond what was conceived on the page. You could call it the kismet factor, maybe. Some commentators do. It's just this beautiful convergence of talent, circumstance, and sometimes a really bold decision.
Embracing those off-script sparks.
Yeah. And by doing that, movies gain these small surprises that often become their most enduring images or lines. They leave a lasting mark on film history and on us. It's really a testament to the power of human creativity, especially under pressure.
That's the incredible, unpredictable power of improvisation in cinema. Just amazing. From Bogart's quiet intimacy in Casablanca to, the unsettling spontaneity in Dune, Part 2.
It continues to shape some of the most memorable and beloved movie moments. It's this dynamic dance between meticulous planning and pure, unadulterated creative explosion.
So the next time you're watching a movie and you're truly captivated by a scene, or maybe a line just sticks in your mind.
Yeah, take a second and consider this. Was that moment painstakingly crafted on paper, every syllable argued over?
Or was it maybe a moment of pure, unscripted brilliance, a tear in rain that just happened?
It might just change how you watch movies forever.